A few weeks back, I was at the fish shop when I saw some amazing pufferfish and I just had to have them. So I got them to reserve the fish for me. They're still there now. I wanted to make sure that I could build the tank first and then go and collect them when it was done rather than holding them here. They can be a little bit sensitive, you see, so we only want to be able to move them one time into the next tank, which will be this one. So in this tank here, I've got my Amazon puffers. Hello to you. The tank's currently undergoing some treatment because I just come back from holiday and there's been a bit of an algae bloom. We've got some thread algae dotted around. Not an issue, I can get rid of that quite quickly. But all the Amazon puffers are doing great. They were fed whilst I was away. Very happy, they're like little puppy dogs. And because these guys have done so well, they've grown lots, they're really healthy and active, it made me want to get a different kind of puffer as well, because originally when I got these, I was a bit worried about like their eating habits, and it can be quite difficult to get them to eat and grow, but I found that they absolutely love bloodworms more than anything. I know some people say there's no nutrients in bloodworms, but I've seen many places now that only feed bloodworms to puffers and even other bigger fish. The fish are huge, they're mega healthy, and the proof is in the pudding or in the pufferfish. So yeah, that is why I wanted to get the Congo puffers, because these guys are doing so well. I really enjoy them, some of my favorite fish. So why not get some more of a different type? And because these guys are in this tank, why not put the new puffers in the tank behind them, which hasn't got any fish in at the moment. So this pitch black tank you can see here did have loads of endlers in. I took out the adults that I could catch. There's probably still some in there. And they're over in another setup that I've done, but it's so overgrown and overcrowded, it just all needs ripping out anyway. Look at the top section. So all this mini, not so mini water lettuce here, I take out and I just give it to the fish shop, then they can sell it on, we swap some fish, that kind of thing. So I can save a lot of the floating plants, but everything that's underneath, as you can see, it's so dark in there, you can barely see. I'm surprised at how well some of these plants are doing down here, because it's like there's no light. There's no light. How are they growing? So that's nearly all the water and plants out, and as I was down here pulling up some of the plants, I actually got stung by a cory. Now I don't know who does and doesn't know this, but yes, cories do sting. It's not that painful. It feels like a stinging nettle. Like I can feel my thumb sort of throbbing, like whoomp, whoomp, whoomp. My own fault. But I moved the cory across into the tank next door, so it'll be all good in there. And I'll just continue getting everything out. So that's all nice and clean, and also, good news, plants have arrived. Obviously we're not planting yet, but I need to get everything out of here and into like the little greenhouses. And when I say greenhouses, I mean little areas like these where I just store my plants in. I've got a free one the other side. Oh, there we go. I've got a lot of plants here, and I ordered mother plants, which I never usually do. So we've got your usual pots here, all from Aquafleur. Look at the quality. This is a Nubius Nanocoin. Really love this one. Kate was helping. Kate just helped me unpack. So I've got, look at the size of this Bulbitis. So they call it a mother plant because it then grows extra plants out of it that you can trim off and use like in your smaller pots. That obviously takes time, and that all happens back at the factory sort of thing. Down here I've got Nymphoides Taiwan, which is not an African plant. I just got those for a different project. But down here I've got how do you pronounce it? Aponogeton or something like that. But look at that one, that will grow absolutely huge and look awesome. I mean, it's going to take some time, of course. And these are Madagascar. Again, they're just the tiny shoots, but they'll grow massive in time. I need to put those actually in water, and the Nymphoides Taiwan. If I put those just in my little greenhouses, that'll just wilt away and basically rot. And I can just put all of the plants in this tank that Kate's cleaned up and got ready for us. There's no light, but it doesn't really need one for the short time it's going to be in there, and it's got ambient light coming in anyway, so yeah, it can go in there. There we go, got a nice light on it as well. It's packed into there, so usually I wouldn't put them that close together, but because they're going to be in there a short while, it's absolutely fine. And now we can carry on with the build. Due to the magic of editing, it's actually been a week since I cleaned the tank out. I was just waiting for these plants. I wanted these specific ones in great condition to just make something amazing. So the tank is all clean, our plants are here. It's time to start the scaping, and this tank needs to be a little bit more specialist, because obviously the Congo puffer's a bit more of a specialist fish, and I need to account for how they behave. Congo puffers are funny, they swim everywhere like this. So we need to have like sort of smooth edges. Also, I want a big load of space in the foreground, some sandy areas as well, so they can chew food off the sand, which really helps with their beaks. So we want open foreground, I think a retaining wall all the way at the back. That means we can then completely plant that retaining wall so it looks like it's fully planted, but you've still got all that space, and it will just look awesome as well. So I want to generate height in the back of the aquarium, and for that I've got this. Get off. So this is difficult one-handed. There we go. So these are like mesh bags that you would use in ponds for like pond media, I guess. But they're huge, and I can just fill them with whatever I want. Coarse rocks, you know, I've got a few things lying around, so I'll just fill up a load of these, and then we can just chuck them in the back of the aquarium, and it fills spaces. So as you can see, I rarely throw away any of my substrates. This stuff is quite fine, so some of it will like sort of fall through, but once it's all stacked and together, should lock it all in place. Because it's wet, it's gonna like stick together in it whilst it's in the bag, just whilst we transport it, and then it should be fine. I've also got some coarser stones, like in there. I've got some coarser aqua soil. There's loads in here. What's that? Ah, more gravel, perfect. Okay, here we go, here's one. I found all this sort of lava rock as well, which is good. If I lay it down, it's already given us like massive amounts of height there, and then a lower point in the middle. Then here's another one. Do the same. Sort of lay it like that. We've got a starting shape. And then we want a little bit in the middle as well, so I've got a smaller bag. And sort of even that out. In a minute there'll be sand over everything, so none of the mesh will matter where it sort of sits and that. Easily penetrable for roots as well. A couple more bags with some aqua soil and that in. And now what's cool is I can start adding my rocks and wood in front of this that creates the barrier between the two, and then fill in the sand in between all the gaps. I mean, you could just use sand, but it will tend to want to creep forwards if you use too much too high. Just naturally from either disturbance from the plants or from fish, it will just try and sort of migrate, but we should stop it with this. So now for the wood, and we've got lots to choose from. I don't want any of the spiky stuff. I want more rounded pieces, like this one's good, this one's good, that one's good. So I can just start getting them in now, and then we can lock it in a minute. Okay, I think we've got the start. Try and imagine I'm creating like a 3D background. Problem is at the moment, there's loads of gaps that show all of the bags and stuff. So I'm just gonna get sand. I've got play sand this time because I wanted more of a yellowy tone, just to be more Africa-like. I don't know why, because lots of stuff I've seen, the sun's so bright, the sand looks white, but you know, just something different. So I can start to push it in all of the gaps, covering everything up. And then obviously we want it in the foreground as well. But look at that, pretty cool, right? We've managed to create something that's visually quite like impressive, saying that, you won't even see it with the wall of plants that's going on. But if you come to the side, you can see there's still so much swim room. Obviously it's gonna go all the way back in that section as well. It's just this main stump here, but look, there's so much swim room for the fish. I mean, they're not huge. So a 4-foot tank that's heavily planted and sort of scaped, it's still plenty of room for them. At the moment, they've been living for like 6 months in something about that big. So yeah. Anyway, sand. First of all, I'm just gonna cap over everything with all of this stuff that was in the previous setup. It's all mature, you know, it's still got water in it. There'll be some bacteria as well, which is really good for the whole system. Then I'll cap over the top of that with the clean or decorative stuff. That's the main sort of capping or filler sand put in, and now it's for the play sand on top of that and the foreground. Okay, I know it looks a bit of a mess now, but trust the process. I'm now gonna rinse everything down so that the sand sort of settles in places. Some of it's covering up rocks and things, but it'll flow where it wants to, and that's where it'll be settled. But we've basically created so many different little planting areas here. You know, at the back, I'm thinking we want some Vallisneria, just sort of swooping over, that'll look wicked. I'm thinking some red tiger lotus popping out of areas like this and down there. Oh, it's gonna look so cool. I might go for a clean foreground. We'll see, we'll see. If it needs detail, I'll add it, but if it doesn't, we'll keep it like a beach, like a river beach. Is that a thing? No, it's not. Now, I'm not worried about the little flecks and stuff getting in the sand. It's all natural. In fact, I actually quite like that. I might add a little bit of that to the whole thing later on, but we'll wait and see when we get there. Look how cool that wood looks. I mean, when the tank's not full of water, everything looks darker anyway. When the tank has water in it, sort of amplifies the light, so everything will be a little bit lighter. Not that you're gonna see it because of the plants. Anyway, I think this wood will float. To be fair, that's pretty lodged in. I might have to wait and see. I might try and fill it up, and if I need to put some rocks on, I can. There's a couple of glue points though, so I'll at least tack those. There's one there, there's one back there. There's another one where this piece is. So yeah, I might as well tack those 3 points, and then I think it will hold because this wood hasn't been out of water that long. I don't think. And it's been raining a lot in the UK, so yeah, we'll just see. Okay, we are looking awesome, and we can now start the planting process. And I'm going to start with the biggest plant. So I'm going to get the largest bulbitis pieces out and then, you know, put them in place, and the rest can follow after. Oh, here we are. These things are huge. I've never had a mother plant before, but shout out to Aquafleur because these are amazing. Okay, so it's the same as a small one. I don't know what I was expecting, but just lots of rock wool to peel off. And then we should have just like an amazing big plant that's all as one, which is what I want. With the rock wool, just get off as much as you can. You're never going to get it all off, but it's so nutrient dense because that's what's drawn up or sucked up the nutrients from the water column, or the water vat, should I say. They dose the water vat so that it just wicks up. But we don't want all of that in our water, do we? We want to control the amount of nutrients in our water. So bulbitis prepped, we now need to look at the tank and just think, okay, where would the best pieces be? And I'm thinking somewhere there would look great, and then somewhere down there as well. So try and find them like a little spot to lodge in. See, I think this would look great. Oh my goodness, I know it's gonna look great. Look at that. That looks insane. I might need to glue it to a rock, but I'm just gonna place it there initially. Oh, I love it. And then, do you know what? Another giant piece here might work really well. Again, I'm gonna need to potentially glue it. It's providing some nice shade as well, but yes, that works. So the fact that they're at either end and at different heights just means it just ties it all together. Then you've got that channel going back in. Works so well. Right, I'm gonna glue that one to a pebble, like a big pebble, and then it can just sit where it is. The roots will just go where they want. With these plants, you don't have to put them in sand or in any sort of soil. They'll draw their nutrients from the water column. This one is pretty much sort of lodged in. Might just need a little bit of glue on the wood. Yeah, here we go. Look, I've got a massively bright white rock. I don't like using white rocks because it's so hard to film. In real life, it looks good, but the camera tries to like darken everything else to make this not so bright. It just doesn't work. Anyway, I take the glue, apply a good amount of it to the rock wall area, spray some reactor on, and plonk it. And that should stick pretty quickly, about 10 seconds. There we have it, locked on. See, they're all glued in place. Now I left this one sort of coming forward. I just think it looks really cool. Then I wanted to show a little bit of the roots on this one because some of it will try and grow out of water, because if we've got the water level up to say here, most of it will just sit on the surface, but new shoots will try and grow out, and I've had it do that before and it works really well with bulbitis. Now there's two big ferns in. Let's move on to the big Anubias. So we've got two mother plants of Anubias Heterophila XL. So yeah, just to go with the XL Bulbitis. Now, because this plant has been grown out of water, I would quite like to use it as like a transition between the surface of the water and out. So, you could possibly go this side, like this here, and then it will grow huge up here out of the aquarium. And then one on this would do the same, meeting all the bits behind it. I mean, at the moment it looks a little bit wasteful because you can't really see it a huge amount, but like that's gonna continue to grow and they get huge. So I think it's well worth the investment in just putting it there. Closes off the gap quite nicely as well. We've got some great shade under here, which we want. We want light and dark areas in any tank because it just looks way more dynamic, like this better depth perception. But yeah, I'll do one there and I think another one, you know, back on this side somewhere. Awesome, loving that. I love that we can keep those plants growing out of the water. Obviously, it's one of my favorite things to do. But now we can use the smaller ones for lots of nice detail everywhere else. Right, I think that's looking amazing. My wife just came in as well. She saw it. She said, oh, I love that. She wants it at home. But I've just got this big piece of Anubias on a piece of slate just to sit here because this is where I'm going to have a different plant shortly that will grow right up through these gaps. And I've got another little piece to cover up this area here. Just ties it all in a little bit better if you keep the edges sort of planted as well. You need that to sit so the Bulbitis comes a bit this way. That's it. Now I have got my lotuses and a Pondageton, however it's pronounced. I do have those still to put in, but I want to fill the tank up first before I do that. I might want to add some detail as well. I'm not sure yet, but I do like the idea of the sand just being so clear for the pufferfish to be able to explore this area without anything obstructing them and catching on them. But some little gravel pieces up against the rock might work quite well. Right, it's the next day and here is how we are looking. There is a murkiness to the water and that is going to be one of two things. Either it is the sand, because we didn't wash it, just releasing like dust, but more than likely I put a brand new piece of wood over in this section here and I'm pretty sure that's the thing that's just leaching all those tannins. A lot of it would have come out in that first sort of fill up of water, so I'm just going to whip the water down again and then bring it back up. That should lighten the whole tank as well, but we might need a second light, one to go further at the back for any plants we put back there, but I don't know yet. Let's see what it looks like after the water change and then I can decide. So here we are after water change. You can see that's looking a lot clearer. There's still a little tiny haze to it, but the filter's back on now and that will clear that. But yeah, I think I might try and add a light in the back area, just see what it looks like. Yeah, there we go, second light added, so it gives us much more of a view into the back. I'm gonna be putting plants back there, see, I'm thinking Vallisneria, because it grows in some parts of Africa, so that's still keeping it, you know, to the biotope. It's not really a biotope, but you know what I mean, keeping it kind of real. There's several plants we want to add actually. First off is some of these amazing tiger lotus that have been grown in a different tank. This one's quite tall, so I can put it in this middle section and you'll still be able to see it really well. Look at that, so nice. And that will continue growing from the root as well. Just grow closer to the surface. Oh, actually I found a better one for that section. This one can go lower down at the side. Gonna mess up the water a little bit again, but it's all right. This one's a bit more, I don't know, it's got a bit more like vibrancy to it and a lot more leaves as well. Yeah, look at that, looking good. And then this one is longer, so I think it can go more in this section. Yeah, that's much better. Poking over the top of all those awesome ferns. And then just one more on this side as well. And I think we've got it. Some rougher bits on this one. It's not quite as good condition. Like this top leaflet, it's kind of wilting. So if we just take it down at the base and use our thumb just to take it off. Now with these lilies, it's very important to trim off any leaves that are trying to grow to the surface, because they send out lily pads, and when they got lily pads on the surface, they stop sort of producing the leaves that are really beautiful under the water. So like for instance, in this tank here, you can see all the nice tiger lotus leaves, and then coming to the top, up here, look, there is that lily pad. And now once they find one, they start sending up loads and loads of them. So it's important. This is if you want to not have lily pads and have stuff under the water, just to take it from the stem, yank it up, and it pops off at the base, provided it's rooted nicely. Throw that away, and then all your leaves should stay underneath after that. Now the next plant that I want to add into the tank is this Vallisneria you can see here. Currently in with all the angels. I've been growing it ready for this and just letting it get more and more. It's kind of overtaken on this side, but looking really healthy, and I'm going to use those. There we go. How cool is that looking? So you can see all the val at the back, but I've also put little shoots of it, look, coming out of all these little front areas as well. It's still in the sand, I just pushed it right into the gaps. But what that does is create a more of an aged look as well, like it's sort of grown through all the other plants. Yeah, I really like that. But I mean, this wouldn't be a river system, would it, without some botanicals? And on the table here, look, I've got a pot of loads of different bits and bobs. They're all dry, so I'm gonna have to put them, boil some water, stick them in a bucket, come back tomorrow, and hopefully they'll sink as well. So it's now the next day. As you can see, our water change worked and everything is looking so clear. Oh, and I forgot to mention, during the water change, I added all these little bits of gravel just to tie the two areas in, because it was looking a little bit artificial. I think the overall effect now looks fantastic, but we definitely need more detail. Speaking of detail, I've just poured out the botanicals. Here they are. I'm gonna put another load of hot water all over, well, boiling water all over the top, just to make sure that they sink. Now, hopefully when I fill these up, they won't float. Oh, okay, that big pod there, this pod is floating. Let's see what we can do about that. I can maybe glue it to a rock or something like that. But there is loads underneath it that has sunk, so we'll just scoop off the top stuff, maybe give that a bit more time, we can add it later. Of course, adding the botanicals to the water will add tannins. Now, tannins is like tea staining that leaches out of the wood and will make the water go brown. I'm hoping with the water volume and the fact that we haven't got too many, it'll only add a little bit of a tint, which is absolutely fine by me. It's gonna make it look quite realistic. I pushed some of the botanicals back up against the border, just felt it looked a little bit more real. The overall effect is great, but the whole tank just looks a bit too bright. So to get around that, I'm going to be adding floating plants. I've got mini water lettuce, which is actually native to some parts of Africa. So again, keeping it real. I took these out of another tank that's really well established, and I think they're a little bit too long. I'm trimming some of the roots shorter because it was just kind of taking over everything. I didn't like the look. Then I took some bigger, stumpier water lettuce from a barb tank, and I used the wood and the plants in the top section to sort of lock it in place so it didn't just go around the flow and get stuck at the back of the tank. So yeah, we are almost ready, and I say almost because we are forgetting one of the very special plants I ordered specifically for this tank. I am talking about, of course, the Aponogeton. I need to look that up. Yeah, I was saying it right. It's Aponogeton. It's got these really nice sort of bumpy leaves, and it's going to grow absolutely huge. I've got two there. So I'm going to have to plant it in a way that it's in the flow and will sweep across the top of the tank. Hello, you beautiful thing. So yeah, I'm thinking the Aponogeton can come in this corner, it will grow upwards and then trail across, giving more of a sort of river canopy. And as you can see, it's a bulb plant, so you don't want to plant that. You just put it where you want it and the roots just find their way in. So there is a nice little crevice I can see down here. If I can just get around that Anubias. There we go, that's lodged in nicely. And good flow there'll be down there as well, so nutrients will get brought to it. It's going to grow right up and across, which will look awesome. And then the other little one on this side, just in that gap there, should grow nicely. So there we go, that is the tank ready. We can now go to the shop and finally pick up the puffers that we saw like 2 weeks ago. I can't wait to get them in. So we're back at the shop. It's been like
3 weeks?
3 weeks, I reckon.
Yeah.
Since I first saw these fish now, and the whole time I've just been like, come on, even on holiday, I was like, I want to get back because I want to start creating a tank. Tank is ready, Martin.
Spot on.
Sent you the picture.
Yep, it looks banging.
It should be amazing. I mean, there's going to be tons of room for these fish because they're not huge. I thought they were bigger in my head. I don't know. I think it's because of the size of the tank. And here they are. So, yeah, obviously they're in this size tank altogether at the moment, getting along well. I can't see any nipped fins or anything, Ryan.
No, there's no damage fin-wise. They've still got a little bit of white spot. So
Yeah.
I think we're just saying that you're going to give them a treatment just when you get them back anyway, just to try and shift that on a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's just a little bit of stress of them just being sat on a centralised system.
Yeah.
As soon as they're off, they should clear up really, really well.
We're going to have way more sort of cover and places to go, more water volume. I mean, even us moving them to my tank would probably stress them enough to cause it anyway. That's what I did with my last puffers, the Amazon ones.
Yep. Oh,
Like-
Amazons are an absolute nightmare for
Yeah.
it. They're one of the worst ones in terms of just being renowned for anything you do in an aquarium with them. They just get pickled in white spot pretty much from the get-go. So, yeah. Once they clear up, they're generally happy. But yeah, it's just that initial bit of stress moving them from one location to the next location.
Yeah.
And then yeah, once they're in and they're settled in and they're feeding well, they'll clear up quite happily. And then generally, touch wood, you shouldn't get any problems.
Fingers crossed. And just in case anyone's wondering, like, white spot is massively common, and if you do see it, it's nothing to fret about. The treatments work at the end of the day. And it's basically that if a fish gets stressed from moving or anything like that, their immune system will lower temporarily, and in that period of time, they can catch it. It's everywhere. It's in everything, isn't it?
Oh, very much so, yeah. Yeah, you tend to find the parasite itself, part of its life cycle is in the actual substrate in the aquarium.
Yeah.
So all it takes is a little bit of stress, drop in temperature, a sudden increase in temperature, introduction of a new fish, and that can just drop the immune system and bang, it's straight through. Kind of like a common cold for us. Just
Yeah.
parasitic instead of viral, so.
And the only time it's going to get to the point where it's like really dangerous for your fish is if you don't treat it. If you treat it, it'll be absolutely fine. So yeah, we can do that. So I've been feeding my other puffers like bloodworms.
Yep.
I feed the pellets to the cories that are in there. Sometimes have a nibble. They sort of have a nibble at everything.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I've found that bloodworms for me have been my staple. They've worked so well.
Yeah,
on it.
I mean, these guys, bloodworm would be absolutely fine for them. If you wanted to keep the teeth ground down a little bit, because very much like Buster,
Yeah.
the teeth of pufferfish are just always growing, so you just need something a little bit harder for them to keep it ground down.
So I tend to give my cubes still frozen, so they've got to rip them up.
Cool. Yeah. The other option you could use is something like krill. It's a marine-based shrimp, but these guys
Okay.
will go absolutely crazy for it. It's got
Do you guys stock that?
Yep.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, I'll
Yeah,
get that as well.
we've
I'll
always got it in
definitely
the freezer.
get that. Yeah.
But yeah, it's just got that slightly harder shell on it, so as they bite into it, it just gradually grinds the teeth down. It's
Done.
essentially like if you've got rabbits or guinea pigs and things like that, and you give them like apple branches for them to gnaw on, exactly the same process.
Because at the other shop, the other Maidenhead that I was at, is at Cadbury,
Yeah.
they said about using the mealworms and stuff. The problem
Yeah.
is I just couldn't find any smaller mealworms like the ones
Okay.
they had.
Yeah.
And the little ones just weren't getting in their mouths. They couldn't.
Yeah. I mean, thankfully, these guys, they're not too worried about trying to tackle something a little bit bigger.
Okay, yeah, because they've got those bigger mouths, yeah.
We found a macrobrachium shrimp on one of our systems last week that I have no idea where he came from. We haven't had anything go into that tank for about 4 or 5 weeks. And he's not the sort of thing that we really want in the shop because they're a bit pinchy and a bit grabby. So he came off that system and dropped in with these guys, and he was probably about the size of one of the smaller guys. And the moment those guys realised what he was, they set on him and they took him to pieces. Absolutely relished it. It was awesome to watch them hunting. But yeah.
I think this one here is the lowest of the pecking order.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I definitely need to make sure I'm like feeding him, making sure he's getting, or she,
That's a definite boy.
is getting specific amounts. But obviously the females are naturally massive anyway, aren't
Yep.
they? So
Yeah, so when you look at them, like this little one here is a nice big chunky female.
yeah.
And then like these guys here are nice little males. The boys are just a lot more streamlined in body shape. Females pretty much like the shape of a potato. So.
Right, I love them. Okay, let's do this. What do you think about tank mates in that size? Shall I, shan't I?
What size tank was it?
4 foot.
And you could probably get away with it. One of the guys that works up at Cadbury has just set up a Sienna 330 as an African biotope. He's put a crossover puffer in there with his.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't have risked it because he came in and picked up nearly £300 worth of tetras off of me a few weeks ago. Because he cleared me out of the golden Congos that we had on the same delivery that these guys came in on. But I mean, when you look at the shouted Dennies, they're generally fairly calm and fairly peaceful.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's really just a case of as long as they're
If it
large
was you
enough.
though, if it was you, Martin, like right now, would you add anything with them that would help them, or would it only take away?
Yeah, I'd probably let them settle in.
Yeah.
See how they settle in, and then probably in like 2 or 3 weeks' time, I'd look at something.
Okay.
It would just be like Congo tetras, African barred barbs,
Yeah.
Things like the long fin alestes that we've got in there. Stuff like that would work really, really well. with
Okay,
them,
cool. So there is the option,
Oh, yeah,
just
definitely.
not yet.
1,
Okay, I'll go with what you say.
3, 4.
Right, fish are bagged or boxed up and bagged up. And Cheryl just said, when are we starting the 8 by 8, whatever foot, 8 by 6?
8 by 5 by 4. No, 8 by 5 by 2, sorry.
Next week.
Next week.
Oh,
I'm not busy.
me and Cheryl are saying next week, and Martin said, no,
Be a bit more
we
prepared.
haven't got
I wanted
the
to be more
stuff."
prepared.
I think we need to dive in the deep end.
Exactly. There's no such thing as preparation, because if you do that, you're never ready. But Martin is one of these guys that has to have every box ticked before you
Yep.
start, whereas
Yep.
I'm like, just get going.
Yeah, everything needs to be there in place, organised with a full-on checklist. If this is the order we're going to do it. But yeah, we could start next
Let's
week.
start next week.
We just need a big saw.
Yeah, I've got the
because
saw.
I've got some big wood.
Thinks a lot of himself.
Yeah, we've got some big wood that needs cutting.
Yeah,
so-
I've got the saw. I'll bring the saw. Are we doing nutrients under the sand? Oh,
No,
we're not, 'cause
No,
there's too many
it's-
bigger fish.
Yeah, because we're going to have some earth-eating cichlids in there.
Okay.
We don't want them digging it all up.
Okay.
So we might like target some areas so
Yeah,
we
okay.
can have some. We're going to need to get creative and disguise some pond plant baskets because we want some lilies in there.
Okay.
We can target nutrient that, and then we're going. Owen's ordered me loads and loads of vallis, which is coming on Tuesday. So yeah, we could possibly start looking at actually doing it next week.
Even the substrate system's going to take like at least a day, isn't it? So,
Oh no, that won't be too bad. We've got all the sand sat out in a tub ready to go.
oh, so ready to go?
Yeah, it's there ready to go. It just needs some muscle, which hopefully you're strong enough to lift it because I know I ain't.
I haven't done gym for like ever.
That's
But
right, that's
that'll
your-
be
that's
our
your on
first.
day.
That's the
Yeah.
start.
Yeah. So yeah, the sand's there ready to go. We've got a couple of the blocks to put in there to raise some stuff up. We've got the wood. We just need to cut the wood, and it's just rock.
Done.
Need some big rock.
It's a start.
What day? What day?
Go Wednesday. Wednesday because we've got fish on Tuesday.
Wednesday it is. Right, we're back at the studio. We have got the fish. I shouldn't have tapped it that hard. Sorry, guys, if I freaked you out there. They're all in there. And the temperatures from my car to the studio do differ a little bit, so I'm going to switch the lights off now and just get the fish floating so they're completely comfortable. I panicked then because I looked in these bags and there was nothing in them because obviously Martin's put them in just to fill up the space. And I was like, the water's out. No, but it's full of air and there's nothing. What? So we've got 7 puffers there, and we're just gonna let them sit for about 20 minutes or so, make sure they're all comfortable. Then I'm just gonna open the bag straight up and just let them in. Like I've said before, I completely trust the water at Made Ahead Aquatic. These guys have got a slight hint of ick anyway, and this is technically a quarantine tank because there's nothing else in it. So yeah, it'd be absolutely fine. If you don't know your shops or trust their water or anything, don't do that. But if any fish have got anything, they've got it themselves. The water's probably the least of the worry. Right, it's been 20 minutes. We can now release them. So excited to see what they do. Another reason I just want to cut the bag and let them in because that is going to cause them far less stress than put them in nets and everything like that. Pufferfish are a little bit different, and if they inflate out of water, it's not actually good for them, and there's a risk of that with nets. You're not really supposed to transfer like that, but this is going to be the best way. So Martin's double bagged them all for me. Okay, first one going in. Yes. Okay, they've definitely lost a little bit of colour. Look at the spots. Oh, I'm gonna get some close-ups. I'm just gonna get them all in first. Goes the second one, another female. Females are massive, look. Really rounded. I think they look so much better under this lighting than the shop one, because the shop ones are quite blue, which works well for certain fish. But I think these look much better under this light, because it's more like sunlight. Okay, look, they're just resting. They'll be like staying down there, they'll feel probably safe at the moment. Another female, I think. So that's 3 of the 7 so far. Was this one a male? Nope, another female.
How do you know they're
because they're just massively rounded. The females are a lot bigger, pretty big, but you'll see in a minute the difference when you see the male. So yeah, that's a male, look. See the difference? Just 2 more to put in. Yeah, one of them's like the runt of the litter, needs feeding up a bit as well. That one you see, like, so it's got like a sort of skinny out belly, needs some more food in him, but they're gonna be getting plenty of that because I've bought loads of food whilst I was there as well, and I'm gonna feed them in a minute. Final one going in. Yay. Yeah, that is like the big mama. So I don't know how these guys breed, I'd have to look that up, but apparently Martin's seen spawning behaviour, so maybe we can get some babies, I don't know. This one's over here at the moment, thinks that it's on its own. I'm guessing they're all going to sort of meet up at some point. No, this way. Come this way. So we've got 1, 2, 3. Oh, there's a 4th one at the back. The littlest one went through the gap there. Oh, there's 5, 6. So yeah, it's just the little one that went to the back. But, you know, give them a minute and they'll feel a bit more comfortable. Colours will get better as well. Look at this one's colours. Really nice, bright yellow fin at the back. They're basically like mini versions of Buster. This is what they do to sort of blend in. Look, they obviously like the sand. I'm so glad I did that fine sand. They're gonna be out the front here all the time, I reckon. So me and Kate just looked it up. What actually happens is they make a nest. Female and male go together, sort of vibrate around a little bit. The female lays the eggs into the nest and then the male fertilizes them. And then after that, who even knows? But that would be amazing to see. When they say a nest, I don't think they mean like a bird's nest. It's probably just like a pit in the sand. That's what it seems to be with most of the other fish anyway. But these guys haven't been fed today and I bought a load of food, so I'm gonna get it all prepared for them and give them a nice big feed in. So we have got bloodworms and krill, which was what Martin recommended. I'm gonna put 3 cubes of each because why not? It's quite decent sized fish, you know, and there is 7 of them. And I just bought like 10 packs of these, so we're all good. A little bit of water in with them. And just let that defrost. Right, we're now defrosted, so I'm just gonna pour it into my little fine filter sort of net thing. I'm gonna put a little bit of fresh water back in. That's just going to allow me to suck it up the turkey baster because I'm going to feed this to both my pufferfish tanks. Okay, here we go. This is fun, really fun. Feeding fish is probably the most fun thing, isn't it? Here you go, guys. Help yourselves. Hopefully they eat straight away. Yes, they are. That's brilliant because obviously they've literally just been moved from a completely, you know, known tank to this one. And they're already happy eating in the front. What have we got there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess they can sort of smell, but like not in our sort of sense of smell. There must be like taste. It must be more based on taste. Getting stuck right into this lot down here, look. No wonder this one's absolutely massive. Oh, I can see the other one. It's just underneath, between this plant in there. Definitely can sense something in the water. They're both in there. They're both in there. Okay, cool. I'll put some food back in that section. I just want to make sure that everyone's getting some, you know? And these guys are hunters, so they will just go around, even after feeding, looking for more. Oh, popped right out. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then the other one was back there as well. So good, good, good. All eating. And I quite like that that bloodworms and the food have stayed there. So what I'll do is each time make sure I spray in that area and they'll know this is the feeding zone and they'll just get used to coming back. This feels like a wand. Wingardium Leviosa. Yum, 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 yum. Just like little puppies, aren't they? Little flappy puppies. I love them. Now back over in the Amazon puffer tank. They look so much smaller now, don't they? Let's give them some food. Look, they know straight away they're getting fed. Right, here you go, guys. I know you're used to having all of this in a cube. So there's 4 there. Where's the 5? There should be 5 total. Oh, there he is, around the back. He's coming around. And they've not had the krill before, because I've always just done the bloodworm, so...
He's the big one as well.
Yeah. There you go. I mean, they can eat it easier when it's not in its cube sort of form. but they don't have to rip at it, and I quite like them doing the little ripping action. I'm loving that. And just like with the other puffers, you find that some are like more skinnier than the others, and some are crazy rounded. It's like that one that's just got at the back. This one's a good size as well, isn't it? Yeah, they're loving that. Okay, what I'm gonna do in future then is like leave one cube whole and then break the rest of them up, like defrost them like that, because they can get it easier, and it just makes sure they're all getting enough food. These guys still munching away in this corner. It's still just the 6. The smallest one's still not coming forward, but there's definitely food dotted about. Look, there he is. He's just in that gap in there. So that's where I put a load of food. So he's definitely gonna get the food. Hopefully he's gonna get a little bit bigger, and then he'll be more confident as well. So a couple of things. The filter for this tank was previously running for like 6 months, so it's all good. Remember, we transferred it from this tank across to this one. So it's been running, it's had bacteria like being fed. So we're all good in that aspect. The only other thing is the slight bit of ick that they've still got. When this video's done, I'm just gonna treat the whole tank, and that one dose should be enough. You know, they're gonna be settled, it's very comfortable. We've got botanicals, so all good. But for those of you that really enjoy just a bit of music and watching the fish in the tank, I'll leave you with that.